Hello everybody, welcome to the Ethereal Virtual Centre and Monoka Consciousness Group. Just thought I'd step on again to do another live. So welcome to all those what are about to jump on, if you do. We're going to be just discussing all things spiritual, different aspects, planes and dimensions, etc., etc. But just a few notices first. This week we've got a lot coming up this week, which we're kind of quite excited about. Developing your spiritual gifts. We've opened the new centre, the Ethereal Virtual Centre, so everybody's welcome to visit, whoever and wherever you are in the world. Join us through the week for different sessions, different events, classes, courses, etc. We've got healing, intuitive, inspirational writing. We've got the Awakening Club with Veronica Jenkins. We have Sue Townsend, Pauline Barnfather, and Tricia O'Hara, and Annie Fraser, etc. with the Moon Community. So we've got Developing Your Spiritual Gifts on Mondays, Open Circle on a Friday, and Open Circle on a Sunday. So please join us if you wish, if you've got the time. We've got beautiful minds who are really offering their time to help everybody and make the space available as much as we possibly can. The eventual, or part of the eventual aspect. Hi, Stacey. Thanks for joining us. Lovely to have you with us. Thank you for stepping up. Oh. So, yeah, we have opened a new virtual centre, along with our usual seminars, workshops, etc. We've got all these new events. You can keep caught up with everything with the calendar on Monoka Consciousness Facebook group. I'm getting tongue-tied for some reason. So let's talk about spirit and spiritualism and spirituality, because it seems to be becoming quite a prominent theme. Obviously, we know the world is awakening. Awakenings are taking place every day, which is wonderful for all of us. We need that light. I was doing a demonstration last night of mediumship, and it was interesting what Spirit brought through and what they wanted to speak about during the philosophy at the beginning, which was the worries and fears and concerns what people have regarding this change which is currently taking place. And those in the world of light, as we call the spirit world, or those other multidimensional realms, they're constantly trying to come through and inspire people to remain as calm as they possibly can. Of course, they're bringing that love and that healing and the energy for people to be uplifted, hopefully to be uplifted. But also behind that is this secondary layer of energy, which Spirit is saying, try and remain calm with the events what's taking place around the world, locally, nationally, and internationally. Try not to be worried. Don't be worried about it, if possible, whenever possible. Don't be anxious over it. And I think what the layer behind that reflects is the aspect that life is eternal. It is infinite. And this life is just a temporary space, a temporary period, what we call time. And in this temporary space is for us to shine our light as bright as we can, to be as happy and as peaceful as we possibly can. Although that's difficult to do for many people, according to the current affairs, what's taking place. There's a big shove or push to try and bring fear out in people, bring fear to the surface, and Spirit are trying to counteract that. And not just Spirit, we have celestial cosmic beings, star beings, whatever you want to refer to them as. They're all beings of intelligence, constantly trying to settle everybody down here on the earth plane. And of course, they're there waiting to meet and greet all those who take the transition at this time, to offer them that love and joy and healing and comfort. So at the minute, what we're seeing is a lot of minds getting distracted by the external events on the planet, and it's moving the mind away from their inner light, from their inner stillness, if you like. So wherever you can, just kind of take some deep breaths, just relax. If you can, enter that stillness within. Hi, Melissa. Thank you for joining us. Lovely to have you with us. Enter that stillness within as much as you possibly can. Still the mind. Because when the mind is turbulent, it becomes erratic. The mind, then the individual gets nervous because there's a lot of movement in that turbulence. So the mind is moving a lot. And then, of course, it's thinking a lot. And from that thinking, they can become quite anxious and begin to start worrying over things. So when we backtrack and we can imagine our mind quite calm and almost tranquil, if you can do that, then you're going to be unaffected. Because obviously, clearly, at the moment, the senses are becoming bombarded. TV, music, politics, global affairs. It's a constant stream of bombarding the energies of every individual on the planet. We are all sentient beings. We've come here for a task, and we're all guided by spiritual beings. It's whether we're open enough to embrace and accept their guidance. So I just want to say hello to Vera. Hi, Vera. Hi, Lynn. Thanks for joining us, both of you. If anybody's got any questions or any comments, please put them in the comment section in the chat. So really, I wasn't going to do this live. Not so much as I didn't want to do it, but it was like, no, Colin, step on, go on to it. Because I think now I'm seeing, hi Dee, lovely to have you with us. So it's really the message from spirit and from beings of light is not so much about unfolding your own gifts and abilities or faculties of the psyche and spiritual matters such as mediumship, etc. These, of course, are also important, but the main thing is to clear the mind as much as possible from anything what may disturb you. Just take 5 minutes, take 2 minutes, just step to one side and breathe, be still, know that your soul is infinite, know that you can settle these waters and calm these waters of your own awareness, so to speak, and really begin to let that joy. We're supposed to on this earth to live and have life and to flourish and thrive. And this is the message what Spirit, kind of constantly saying, prepare your mind, prepare your energies, protect your mind, protect your energies. We are receptive beings. We have a capacity to receive information, data, but more so we receive frequencies, wavelengths, frequencies, and vibrations into our field of energy, into our auric field. And it's really important to make sure that what's coming in is beneficial and meaningful for you and your path and your journey, so to speak. The light is always present. For some reason, I have to say this. We don't have to go looking for the light. We are the light. The light is ever present. If we stand in it and be it, then it's a game changer. It helps us as individuals. It helps humanity as a collective. The species, regardless of race, color, creed, and all that, that's all part of separation divine. It's all absolutely rubbish. We are beings of light and equal in our own sense to all other beings. So if anybody's got any questions, please fire away, or any thoughts. Otherwise, I'm just going to sit here waffling for the next 30 or 40 minutes. And trust, know yourself, trust yourself. We've looked outwards and to the external for so much. Now's the time to look inwards and feel that beauty and joy. Don't be drawn into dramas and gossips and all these. They're low vibrational aspects, and you're worth a lot more than that. You know, the vibrations of who we really are, especially with this ascension. The ascension is now reflecting the beauty of each individual, and it's beautiful to see so many people across the world stepping onto the path, turning their lights up, regardless of what people think, and regardless sometimes of how shocking that can be to some minds. Keep turning it up, and the way to turn it up is just go inside, be mindful, make your life meaningful, open up to those beautiful spiritual beings and those beautiful planes of existence. It's filled with wondrous aspects. And the soul will just dance in that space. Melissa, hi. Thank you for the question. First off, I was really pondering this topic after yesterday's World Prayer Meditation. Isn't it amazing too how much this process is amplified by being with others and their beings that are also focused on bringing spirit and beauty into their space? It's so true, Melissa. Thank you so much. It's like I liken it sometimes to a positive virus. It sounds crazy, but that's what the light is. It seeps in to the psyche. It seeps into all aspects of our awareness. I mean, of course, it is awareness itself. But when we come together as a community, a group, a collective, everything is amplified. You know, and the benefit, we again, what you're saying, totally agree. When we come together and amplify that energy, we probably can't calculate the benefits of what it has in the space around us and globally and on this plane of existence. So thank you so much. And it brings that spirit and beauty. When we open up, I absolutely love when there's a group of people sitting with spirit in the presence of spirit, and everybody starts to expand and open their field of energy, and we then can start to feel the tangibility, that tangible, solid energy of spirit and those beings of light stepping forward into that space and really helping that space do whatever it's doing. I'm going to say it because I know I'm biased, but we know we have the most beautiful energy ripen in the spaces, in a lot of the classes and courses and events what we do on Monaco Consciousness Group, with yourself included, of course, Melissa, and everybody. It's you guys what bring it into that space with your guides, and it's deeply humbling and a privilege, which those words really don't hold any power in comparison to what we're trying to express, and just how wonderful that light and that energy is. We know it's beyond words. Human language fails us at that moment in time. So thank you so much, Melissa. Anybody else got any, please jump on and just ask them, fire away or send us your thoughts. So where do we go? Where do we go from here? What's happening in this moment? A calm. We need the calm. I think the world needs that calm at the moment, and it's beneficial to look beyond the physical now, to look into those realms and planes of those other dimensions, whatever we refer to them as. Look into those realms and planes, into that vast space, beyond space maybe, but into that vast space of the void and beyond, and abide and rest and be amongst those beautiful beings who abide on those planes. We belong there anyway. This earthly mind, which we have, although not so much earthly mind, but this part of our consciousness, which is conscious of the earth, is we know just a small speck in the vast ocean of awareness. So when we expand and ascend our awareness and open up and invite those beings to step close, they can take us, they can guide us, they'll inspire us to ascend our mind even further, in order to communicate with them and be those channels, not for our own selfish reasons, not for personal gain, not for financial gain by any means, but be those channels where the truth from those realms can pour through us and be of benefit to all living beings. So this is the part where I really kind of attune to these spiritual teachings personally, because when we're looking at ourselves, looking at our family, then we look outside and we look at the world and we say, what can we do? What can I do? We can do just this. Try and still ourselves. The light will emanate, the energy vibrations will permeate the space around, ascend our awareness, and bring that orbit offer ourselves as those channels for that wonderful, beautiful energy to come into this world, onto this plane, and connect and be grounded in the earth, and then expand it outwards into this world. We can say, of course, everybody's individual and unique in their own way. But of course, there's a common theme taking place at the moment: ascension, awakening, expansion, etc., etc. All to do and all inspired by spiritual guides, family, friends, loved ones. They're helping. There's no question about it. And those angelic and celestial beings, what are inviting us to communicate and merge and harmonize with them in order to bring that wisdom from the higher planes, if we call it the higher planes, on those other worlds into this space, and recognize we're not separate. We are a collective. This separation is, like we've said previously, is merely in the mind of the individual who perceives separation within themselves. As soon as the mind perceives oneness, the whole, collectivity, there is no separation or divide. So, interesting. Anybody else got anything? Feel free, guys. You can just fire away. I don't want to sit here and bore everybody with the same topic. Let's go to multidimensions, shall we? What are multidimensions? What are the multidimensions of existence, reality? Can you talk about what is and isn't spiritual bypassing? Sherry. Okay, can you talk about what is and isn't spiritual bypassing? A brilliant topic, Sherry. I'm sorry to say it, but I really like this topic because it's very prevalent at the moment. In a nutshell, spiritual bypassing is when a mind bypasses the inner work, which can benefit them, expand their psyche and awareness, but also help them conduct self-analysis in order to transform themselves and heal the past. And when we narrow it down just a touch more, to transform and dissolve the delusions, what the mind is carrying, or the delusions of the mind within an individual, and the bypass this in order to grasp the spiritual gift, so to speak, or the spiritual faculty. In this case, there's a lot of people chasing mediumship, wishing to be mediums, which is wonderful, without doing any inner work. So what happens is, in this case, and it's not just with mediumship, it's on so many levels, but it's all connected to the spiritual path. So trying or attempting or implying and conveying this false persona that they may or may not be beings of wisdom, so to speak. Some people are putting themselves out there as gurus, obviously. And it is what it is. So I'm obviously not judging. I'm just logically commenting on it. We see what we see, and there is a lot of spiritual bypassing going on. A lot of individuals proclaiming, and there's probably a reason why that word's come in, proclaiming to be spiritually wise, have certain abilities which are not fully realized at this moment, and yet still behind the hidden layers within their subconscious mind, not doing any of the clearing or transforming or healing process within and to their own delusions and their own conditions, which they've suppressed. So in effect, spiritual bypassing is dodging. We're dodging part of the work. The best way we can do things, and we've said this all along, is to do the inner work parallel to learning the spiritual gifts, mediumship, healing, trance, channeling, etc., all those aspects and more. So we can't proclaim, and authenticity comes into play here, Sherry, as well. We know when somebody is authentic. We can feel it, we can sense it, we see it. We have this wonderful kind of sense of attunement to a mind what has got a degree, if not full degree, of authenticity about them. I mean, spiritual bypassing also, what we're seeing at the moment is there's some minds out there using other people's teachings, proclaiming that it's their own, giving it off as their own teachings, even for financial gain. I'm seeing it, I'm witnessing it recently. And they've done extremely little work in order to attain those teachings, which is a shame, really, because it makes the words hollow when they convey in those spiritual teachings. Clearly, we see a lot of people doing a lot of work, inner work, and having beautiful realizations, spiritual realizations of the truth. And when they speak that truth, those who are present, listening or watching, observing, can often sense that profound truth, vibration of what that person or that mind may be sharing or discussing. So in spiritual bypassing, it's one of those things I have a tendency to think, well, it's all in the pot at the minute. You know, we're seeing so many things. But spiritual bypassing is really becoming quite evident at the minute. And so I think we're going to go through a phase of witnessing it over the coming months, maybe over the next couple of years, until, you know, that's kind of being acknowledged by those who are doing it and realizing, and maybe this is an important aspect, when a mind conducts spiritual bypassing, ultimately they're the only ones what's losing out, because they're losing out on sensing the depth of the vibration of the teaching, what's waiting to ripen from within them. So that's, in a way, that's a shame, but on another side, it isn't. It is what it is. But then those who are listening to that mind are not getting the full vibration, the purest vibration of those teachings, And on top of that, even further, the light what the collective are trying to emit into the world, onto this plane, is not as strong as it can be, because we know transformation leads to an intensity. The intensity of a frequency can really come through. So if we're bypassing, then it's a classic. People are just, they're fooling themselves. But I have a tendency to put that with several factors, what's going on in the space at the minute. There's a lot of this, and I say this respectfully, and I'm going to have to kind of word it as best I can. It's important that we receive our own teachings within ourselves with the guidance of our spiritual guides, and have the first-hand realization of that pure truth. Because ultimately there's only one pure truth, and there may be many frequencies of truth, but ultimately there's only one pure frequency, which I believe we all have the capacity to emanate, tap into and emanate. So this area also, there's an aspect of authenticity, or not being authentic in this way, when spiritual bypassing takes place. So, hi Debbie, nice of you to join us. So spiritual bypassing, let's reverse it a little bit, then look at the opposite side. Let's do the spiritual work. Let's dig deep. Let's get in there. Let's climb inside, because it's all connected to the delusions, incorrect teachings, incorrect thought, so to speak. So when we're looking at spiritual bypassing, we can say, okay, what's the opposite? Simple. Self-analysis, transforming the old, letting go of the old, dissolving, etc. Everything we possibly can in order to be these beings and vessels or channels of light and pure frequencies. So, brilliant question, Sherry. I'm so pleased you brought that one up. Hi, Carol. Thanks for joining us. So, Sherry, let's continue then. How does this bypassing relate to paying attention? How does this bypassing relate to paying attention to the 3D things that are unpleasant? As opposed to only paying attention to spiritual things on other levels like the 3D and on up. Like, how much should we pay attention to the current horrors of the 3D? I.e., Jesus got his hands dirty and wasn't squeamish about waking with lepers. Okay, if I'm reading this right, which I'm open now. So let's put it in relation to the 3D. That, especially what you say, unpleasant. Okay, so what we're looking at, the journey, if we're looking at a spiritual path or spiritual journey, if we think there's a path and we think we're on a path, ultimately we're not, we are it. But in this case, let's just go with it. So we wish to expand and open and ascend. So then we start moving, as we would say, we've moved forward, we're progressing, we start to learn different aspects, spiritual aspects. In that, there's already healing and transformation taking place, because the vibrations of each thing we learn, the words have got frequencies, we know all this, these aspects. And I'm going somewhere with this, I'm taking it like a journey to it. So as we walk the path and we unfold, as we say, or as it said, different aspects ripen within us. We chase the ability, or the mind as a temptation to chase the ability, which then is where the bypassing comes. Okay, I just want the gift. I don't want to do any work. I just want the gift. Give me the gift. Give me the gift. That's how grasping. Okay. So when we start looking at our conditions, what we're carrying, hurts, pains, traumas, etc., etc., including, again, our delusions, which is the incorrect thinking within our mind. We've then got to base that on the external and what's going on in the world. And is it right? Is it wrong? What's going on externally? So we would say, okay, is it right or wrong internally? Is it right or wrong externally? The first thing we can say is, at least we are paying attention. At least we're giving it thought. We're not dismissing it, and we're not. It's not as if we're unconscious of that. So we are then conscious of it. So by being conscious, the conscious energy itself is spreading light on those aspects within us and around us. Okay, if that makes sense. Right. So then the next thing is coming to that, paying attention to the spiritual things on other levels of 5D and upwards. We've got to, well, we haven't got to do anything. Nobody has. My understanding is it's most beneficial when we look at ourselves, do the self-analysis, and transform the energy which ripens. And in that transformation, a brighter light, the energy within us shines brighter, is purer, is cleaner, is clearer, so to speak. And in that, we have a tendency to then to go, okay, I'm now opening up to the 50, etc. Okay. Once I get where I think, i.e., clearing all my energies and to the point of light and resonance and, this multi-dimensional sphere of understanding, and then we look at the current, as you put it, and which should we pay attention to the current horrors of the 3D? Well, in effect, what's happening here, Sherry, is by transforming our energies, the old energies, our light actually is then emanated and beginning to change the external. Now, the question, what you're asking is, how much should we pay attention? What should we do about the attention we give? Well, then we're talking about receiving, emitting and receiving frequencies. Okay. If we are emitting light energies, then we feel comfortable, and we feel okay about it. If we are receiving the negative aspects, what's out there, we perceive it as negative and we start taking it on board, then that's damaging the way we're doing. So the ultimate way for me is this, is detachment. We reach a point of resonance within, let's call it the soul. The soul can reach a point of resonance where it's detached, i.e., our conscious awareness is detached from the events of the world in the 3D world, but we're very much a part of it. Now, I'm going to be cautious when I describe this, but I'm still going to say it. In that, what we think is detachment, we may say, I need that question back. Sorry, I need to see it because it's helping me. Sorry, in that sense of detachment, it doesn't mean say it's a cold, calculating sense of detachment by any means. It's not. There's actually something deeper in that sense of detachment. Okay, and this is going to sound ridiculous. We are actually more involved and more sensitive to the horrors of the 3D. And it's almost as if by being deeply involved in them energetically, that's why so many people get emotional when they see some of the horrors out there. Because we're all we know we're swimming in this vast ocean. And so if there's a ripple in that ocean, we will all feel it. So in effect, we've got to distance ourselves from the negative aspect of it. So we can see what's going on, we can sense it, we can feel the pain of somebody else on the other side of the planet. Without question, we can feel it. And I'm not going on one, just empaths can feel it. We are all empaths of some nature in some way, shape or form. So being an empath is not exclusive. They don't have the monopoly on pain. We each feel pain, and we each feel or have the capacity to sense the slightest pin drop anywhere on this planet and feel it very sharp. So what we have a tendency to do at that point is, through training our mind, we develop a sense of detachment without losing our sense of empathy and compassion and love for what's going on. Behind that, we're also generating energy, constantly generating. If a mind of this nature really kicks in, then the individual will be constantly generating energy, which will naturally go out. We don't need to send energy out as such. It's beneficial when we do sometimes. But by simply being energy and allowing that energy to be in its natural fluidity, it will go where it's needed. And so, in effect, what we're doing is we're talking about protecting our mind, doing the homework, doing the inner work, doing the shadow work, letting go, transforming, etc., expanding our light, which is our awareness. We're expanding our awareness. That then has got a greater sense of power. And I don't like using that word, but it has. It's got a greater sense of power, which we can refer to as intensity. It becomes more intense. It's like, for those what have experienced receiving healing of somebody, especially hands-on healing, they will feel the intense energy, especially hot, warm energy or cold energy, whichever the case may be, of the healer when they places their hands on the shoulder, for example, or on the back. There's an intense heat. And the reason being is because the healer has opened up sufficiently that intense, that powerful energy can come through and do its job. Well, when we do the inner work, we naturally start doing the same. Where not only are we transformers of energies, we're like dynamos. We're constantly churning energy within us, which emanates in the space around us. But we have to be careful when we say, well, it's just in the space around. It's not. It goes out into the etheric planes, goes around the world, then it goes into the etheric planes, etc., etc. Now, I know I've really expanded on this point, Sherry, so I do apologize. But you kind of opened it up, because then I want, if it's okay, that takes us towards, and it brings in the etheric plane, the etheric grid, or the web, within and around us, but also within and around the world. And maybe by asking this question, you've prompted what is quite important to be spoken, which is the etheric grid, or the etheric web at the moment on the planet, is really desperately in need of clearing, because it's amassed. I almost want to say quadrillion. I don't know why I want to use that word. It's amassed so much energy in the form of wavelengths, frequencies, and vibrations of thought energy and emotional energies. So if we imagine there's a situation where there's a lot of fear generated in an individual or group or collective, that fear goes into the etheric grid, because all energy is a living energy. So it becomes alive, and if it's not utilized, it goes into the ether, which is the space around the planet. And therefore, we all get affected as a knock-on in return as a result of it. So if we imagine all the thoughts and feelings of humanity, individually and collectively, has gone out there into the etheric space, into the ether. And there's a lot of work going on at the minute, and Spirit are encouraging people to step in and try and work with the ether at the minute, because we are ethereal beings, which is beyond the physical and beyond the spiritual. We are ethereal beings. This relates to the Akash and the Akashic, and etc., without opening that up. But in effect, what we're looking at is trying to clear the energy of the ether. Now, where does the 5D come into play with this? What we're looking at here is, first, we've got to understand we don't fully comprehend the 3D, which is crazy. And so many people talking about going into the 5D and so on. And trust me, I understand the 5D and the others. We've all had experiences, but we don't always shout about them on the rooftops, okay?
we're only just understanding the 3D. We're only just starting to understand our own consciousness, our own mind. So I'm always cautious, slightly. I have a word of caution. Where's the 4D in this process? Because it seems to me the 4D is just getting totally dismissed. And everybody talk about spiritual bypassing. Everybody's bypassing the 4D. So the 4D minimum has got to be a plane or realm, which obviously is an extension and the next frequency of awareness beyond this third dimension. So there's so much activity in the 4D we've yet to even open up to. And then we step into the 5D. I think the 5D was thrown out there somewhere in the world years ago and somebody picked it up and it's just gone boom. When we're looking at the 5D, then it really does start to become interesting, because the elements, matter, form, formlessness, etc., start to really show themselves. And we can say it, at the moment humanity is not ready to understand the true capacity of form and formlessness, but at least we can start talking about it, and then from talking about it, thinking about it, talking about it, we can start to relate and understand to it even more. We have the capacity to dissolve our energies. We have the capacity to levitate completely, in the physical body, with our mind, with our awareness. When we start tapping into that pure energy, which is not out there, it's within here. So the 4D, 5D, and all the other dimensions of reality, where are they? Where's everything else? It's here. It's within us. And it's all according to one thing, our perception, how we perceive reality. So, and then, we can move to the 7th and 9th D and 12th D and all this lot, which is quite entertaining, to be quite honest. But I think before, and it goes back to spiritual bypassing, Sherry, before we can fully exist in the 5-dimensional reality, fully, completely, all spiritual bypassing has got to stop, because everything has got to be clear within an individual's awareness. This is the time to do it. This is why the world is what it is at the moment, because we're transforming the energy. We've come here to be enlightened. We've come here to be awakened and transform the energies of this plane of existence, so that we then can bring light into this plane. And that is not by any means intended to be grandiose or anything of that nature. We're just looking at this logically. And then we can start moving to the 5 dimensions, 5th dimension. We can meditate. We already know we're going to, when we go into an altered state of awareness, through meditation or moving our mind, we start going into those finer vibrations of our own awareness, those subtle aspects of our awareness, if you like, or those wavelength frequencies of our higher self, so to speak. And as we do this, that's when we're starting to encounter the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th D and beyond, and those celestial planes. So everything's open, but it's so important that we transform everything what we're holding on to within us. The only reason, and it's funny, 5D, dimensional density, according, depends who you're speaking to. When we look at it as densities, which I don't really like looking at as densities, we can. The density of the energy we're carrying within is what's got to be transformed and lightened up. And we will naturally then expand into the 4th, into the 5th, into the 6th, not just perceptionally, but physically, energetically. The atoms and particles, etc., the molecules of the physical form will show itself to us, and the space what they're vibrating within and amongst. You've got me going off on one. Sorry. Oh, thank you, Sherry. I'm going to stop there. Will, hi Will, lovely to see you. Yeah, lovely to have you with us last night. Hi Jade, thanks for joining us. Hi lovely souls. Sherry, energy cannot be replaced or destroyed, type of thing. Sorry, I need to cough. I'm going to press the right. Well, that's so they say. Energy cannot be replaced or destroyed, type of thing. Correct, Jerry. It can be. I think energy can only be transformed. I think that's where we're at. Nothing ever disappears. No energy can disappear. Let's say, sorry. So yeah, no, sorry about that. No energy can be destroyed, but when we add to it, it can be transformed. It can produce something else. We know this, which we know is ancient times would be referred to alchemy. I mean, some of it still is. You know, people are saying, you know, some people say we are alchemists to a degree. We are, but it's got connotation. Alchemy has got connotations to the past, and I have a tendency to really stick in the moment or the future. Having experienced letting go of the past, I know the burden it has upon a mind, and that's why I have a tendency not to refuse the past. The past will always be there because it's in our memory bank, and when we need to recall something, our memory will bring it up, but it'll do it in the present. So we really need to, you know, let go of the past and everything in it. Ultimately, let go of the future because everything exists in the now anyway. So, but going back to energy, then yeah, energy is always transformed. So, and that's what we are. If anything, we're transformers. Interesting. If we could imagine. Well, no, I have to reword. I've just been pulled for that one. I was about to say it. Sorry. Right. The realization of light and truth can only occur when the individual experiences it for themselves. All language and talk and words is merely carrots based on pulling us forward or inwards, so to speak, in order to manifest that which we've come here to manifest. Cryptic, I know, but food for thought, I should imagine. Yeah. I mean, if I was to say to any something to anybody, Sherry, it would be really, really focus on energy, understand it, study it deeply, profoundly within your own being. Study it, enter it, feel it. Because that's where the true nature of reality lies. And I'm going to say something which is going to be quite challenging, but when we look at the human language and thinking, okay, we've used this vast vocabulary to explain and put into detail aspects in order to make sense of it, a bit like time. Time is merely a frequency slowed down so we can make sense of things by measurements, etc. Language is the same. Language is obviously a vibration, and the words we use match those vibrations. So when we're talking about energy, wavelengths, frequencies, and vibrations, it's likely there's so much more beyond energy. So much. And I can almost feel and sense, you know, one or two of you going, that can't be right. Because everything is energy. You know everything is energy. Well, that's according to the state of human evolution at the moment. And we know for a fact that there's so much more yet to unfold. And There are 1 or 2 mines on the planet, again, probably sat on a mountain in Tibet somewhere or elsewhere, would understand this. But generally speaking, humanity, thankfully, is at the point where we're pushing the boundaries back now by transforming our own delusions and seeing a greater expanse through the eyes of awareness into those other magnificent dimensions and realms, and those other beings who exist upon those realms. So, well, guys, I think I've come to a door to a close, I think. Sherry, I want to thank you so much for prompting and stimulating my thoughts to kick into gear and get on them frequencies. Thank you so much for everybody who's listened in and for all your thoughts. It's great to have you with us. We'll be back at some point with something else, I'm sure. Please have a look on Monaco Consciousness Group Facebook and the Ethereal Virtual Centre calendar. So, hi Neil. Nice. Neil just popped in just as we're going. Lovely to see you, Neil. I hope you're well. So there's a lot going on. We have opened a new centre. The intention is that it will be open 24/7 at some point across the world. Now that may sound grand, but it's not. It is what it is. It's already started, and we've got something like 15, I don't know, 15 events on each week now, and it's growing, and there's more to come. And we have got, and I'm sorry, but I'm still going to say it, we have got the most absolutely beautiful minds leading as tutors the events in the space, in the centre. Kind, compassionate, loving, all seeking to share and create a beautiful space with your guides, with you and your guides, and everybody else's. So if you wish, feel free, step in, have a look in anything what we've got going on. We have got, but on another note, through MCG, we do have 2 new trance courses coming up, beginning in the next couple of weeks. One is a trance healing mediumship course, that's for 7 weeks. The other is a trance channeling course, that's also for 7 weeks. And we just decided to put on a workshop, which will be on a Saturday, and it will be, I think that's the 25th of October this month, which will be Cosmic Consciousness. And one of the bigger ones, but this will be an exclusive one, we're got an event coming up, and there'll be a lot of in-depth things coming out on that one, understanding the ether and its connection to so many aspects of our reality. So, but that will be, that's a very prominent one, that I'm still kind of working on how Spirit wish that to be. So whether it's invitation only, or I don't know how it's going to be, but it's there. Other than that, please join us for the open circles, the healing, the World Peace prayers next Sunday, etc. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us, and good luck wherever you are on your path. And if you've got any suggestions of what you'd like to see put on at the Ethereal Virtual Centre, please don't hesitate. Get in touch with us, send us your ideas, and we'll do our best to put them out there. As long as it's beneficial for others and it helps people, then thank you so much. Other than that, we'll see you very soon. Thanks for tuning in. Take care, and lots of love from those beautiful beings, from myself and those in the world of spirit, and Buzz Lightyear and his mates from beyond. Take care. Thank you. Bye.